you need to build trust with your stakeholders. Now, stakeholders would be who? Like your shareholders, your regulators, your customers, your employees, even your directors you're working with. So, extremely important to build transparency and accountability. So why do we have frameworks, we have a lot of frameworks, roles, responsibilities, principles, practices. All these are important to manage risk and for having a proper governance.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to FaceTime with Leaders, a podcast series by Directors Institute, World Council of Directors. I am Rajesh Joshi, and today we are delighted to have with us a visionary leader whose expertise in consulting and cybersecurity has left an indelible mark across industries and continents. With over 2 decades of experience at prestigious firms like PwC and Deloitte, she has guided global and Indian conglomerates through transformative projects in risk advisory, cybersecurity, and compliance. Currently, she is a partner at Deloitte India, where her work continues to shape the future of cybersecurity and digital transformation. It is my pleasure to welcome Ms. Priti Ray to the podcast. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Rajesh. Thanks for having me.
Great, great. So, Ms. Ray, to start this conversation, as it is said, success comes from the willingness to embrace change. Since you've worked across industries like consumer goods, telecom, and also with the government, I wanted to ask how you adapted to such diverse domains and what strategies helped you excel in each.
One thing I want to draw from a book I read, that is Who Moved My Cheese.
Mhm.
I think it's by Spencer Johnson.
Yeah.
What was mentioned was change is the only constant in life. And that stuck to me because my life has been constant change. So I'll tell you, I started my journey in 97 and I joined business and IT risk consulting. That was way back in PwC and a long time back in 97. And so where, you actually need to understand the industry, everything. If you're doing a business risk assessment, you need to understand the risk, the company it is operating on, what are the processes, what are the sub-processes, to understand what kind of risks can emanate from that process. So that's how, when you are in the consulting world, you are basically, thrust on projects and you need to learn in our days, that especially nowadays, you need to learn on the job. But now they are generic kind of trainings. But even then, no amount of training can really help you because they are very different kind of issues. So you need to kind of refer. There are a lot of content available, so you need to refer, learn, and there's a lot of diversity of work. So that gave me an opportunity to learn and contribute. And then in the initial days also, I was put into a quality assurance job in a large, very large consumer Indian conglomerate, which is as close to an MNC, where I conducted a number of business and IT reviews. Then then continuing with my journey in 2000, I was in Singapore, where I was put to do security risk and security for banks, largest banks like DBS and number of banks where I had to do mainframe reviews. So again, new challenge. So I had to learn on the job. We were given some training, of course, but then you learn a lot on the job. And then I moved to Hyderabad in 2003, where the government of Andhra Pradesh was going through its e-governance journey. So they were
Mhm.
implementing a lot of e-governance applications. So there I was validating these applications. So you call it, if it was either for Department of Municipal Corporation, or it was also for Commercial Taxes Department. So before they changed over from GST, so I had reviewed that application and even post GST. So a lot of different. So that was the capability centers. So that is where we started the journey of remote consulting, remote audit, remote risk. So you really need to bring the process again. That's a different one. I went to Chicago where I understood the process. I had to bring back the process, right? So that was again a different kind of a dimension to my work. Then in 2006, I was leading the program management for a very large general insurance company. It was a public sector company where I was leading their strategy, defining their vision, their business process re-engineering, the entire system selection, RFP, floating of the RFP, implementation, then also testing, migration, performance testing. So it was a very different kind of a project, very challenging. So again, you learn about stakeholder management, team management, very, very complex projects. So very different dimensions. Then I moved to another industry, that is pharma, life sciences and pharma, wherein I was looking at regulatory compliances. So you have to learn about the industry, about the job, but you know, always the change gives you an opportunity. So it's challenging, but it gives you an opportunity to learn. And that's when it's basically, when you are learning and working for these industries. In fact, another very good example also I had for a telecom industry. That time, telecom revolution was striking.
Mhm.
So the largest telecom provider of India, they had operations in Africa also. I was doing their IT security risk management extremely and working directly with the chief of internal audit. Because to do the IT, you can't really do an internal audit nowadays without understanding the IT landscape and security and risk. So I was handling that. That was again a very, very complex project. But everything was very interesting. So changing dynamics, but it was extremely interesting, thrilling experience I had. So what I feel is like, you have to you have to understand the industry, you have to understand the process, you have to understand the company, you have to understand the stakeholders. So these are the things which really help you. So and if you look at, what are the strategies you require, I mean, you spoke about how to excel in these strategies is prepare. Extremely important. You need to prepare, as I mentioned, and then also collaboration, with your stakeholders, be it internal. Internals is also extremely important because they vary teams involved, right? So you need to collaborate with them to get the best out of them. And of course, the stakeholders. If you don't collaborate, if you don't communicate, the project greatest of the projects will be kind of, there will be failure in the projects. And be inquisitive, ask all the questions till you get your answers. The other thing is, you should be bold. Don't be shy, don't shy away of speaking out, like, and take help, seek help wherever necessary. So these are the things which will help anyone, excel in these changing landscape and environment.
Right. Ms. Ray, I mean, your ability to adapt across such varied industries truly showcases your versatility. Hearing about the strategies that help you thrive in each domain will truly provide invaluable lessons to those navigating change. Which brings me to the next question. As they say, leadership again is not measured by the number of followers, but by the leader one inspires and empowers to emerge to and to become. Now, having managed teams of 50 plus professionals, how have you nurtured leadership qualities in others? I mean, and what outcomes stand out as the most rewarding?
So I'll talk about, my leadership style.
Mhm.
And I believe in making impact on people's lives. Instilling that faith, the confidence, okay? Because if they undergo improvement, so basically, I believe if you undergo self improvement, you will get self empowered. So that is this, that's a strategy to apply. And let me tell you, so this feedback, I have not got, like, I'm not creating this. I have got these feedback from my, my team, my juniors who are no longer with me. Some have left me 15 years ago, some 10 years ago, and they have given me. So what I got to understand, and I do that. I mean, I can uh, talk about it. So the leadership style, my leadership style is actually being empathetic, instilling confidence in them, having faith, because let them, like, they will make a mistake. It's okay. Let them at least try. because they will learn from their own mistake and also from others' mistakes. So that is what I feel like, you need to be respectful and also collaborate with them, empower them, and spend time in their personal development, in their overall development. Because if they are facing a personal challenge, and if you're there for them, they actually, come out of it and they will perform better professionally. Because something or the I work with a lot of women colleagues, and they have so many personal challenges when they are going up in their leadership journey or in their growth journey. So you need to understand, guide them, and they have given me such great performances. I can give one example. Like, one of my colleagues, junior colleagues, her husband had got transferred to UK. She had a small child and she also wanted to go. And she was doing very good job. I said, look, you stay for 6 more months, you will definitely contribute, but you will learn also, and you take your promotion. And the moment you take it, you will get a better job there. So, like, guiding them throughout, and she's so thankful, and she actually is doing very well. So these are the things. Another person is also in UK. The other, I'll give you another example. During very early days, when I was I had a junior who was from a very humble background. His father had a kirana store in a village, but he was a very bright student. He was a chartered accountant, and he came. So obviously, he was elementary in his behavior, dressing sense, and all. And I told him, look, I understand where you come from. You will try to save money, but please dress professionally, because your clients are looking at you, representing a brand. And certain behaviors, I told him, certain habits. And after, I didn't know, and I moved out of that organization, moved to different one. And then after 10 years, he's a senior manager in US. And I told him, do you remember me? He said, how can I forget you, Preeti? So these are the things, I mean, it's very heartening, because the validation, true validation, comes not from, like, I can talk about it, but it comes from when my juniors, after 10 years, they tell me this. And this is all what I've told you, like, they have told me that I've inspired them and motivated them. So, if unless the validation comes from people themselves, it's not real. So that's my style. I'll just
Absolutely, absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. I mean, the impact you've had on nurturing leadership qualities in others is truly commendable. Your ability to inspire and empower future leaders is a legacy that will resonate far beyond your teams, and the fact that people are reaching out to you even after all those years have passed, and letting you know that it is all those advices, consultations, or maybe a little bit of tip here and there has actually helped them in being whatever they are at this moment, and that itself is satisfying. I'm 100% sure about it.
actually, it's very heartening and satisfying. I can't tell you how good it feels.
Completely understandable, completely understandable. Well, you mentioned about certain projects. Could you reflect on a project that didn't go as planned and share the invaluable lessons you learned? I mean, lessons you believe would be crucial for others in your field to apply in their own journeys?
Yeah, they would be. Obviously, there are some projects which don't go that well, and some go off track and then it goes on track. But yeah, I can tell you, very early on in
Mhm.
my career. Again, I was talking about, if you say, I was mentioning about a public sector general insurance company. So that was a very complex project where, I spoke about we need to do a strategy, visioning, the BPR,
Right.
implementation, everything. So there were many stakeholders involved, internal, external, third party vendors, everything. Even within our teams, there was a strategy team, there was a IT team, there was a process team, there was data migration team, like, no, number of kind of different teams. And what had happened is, like, the CMD, we had a conversation. I mean, it was an RFP, of course, floated and all. But CMD and a few of the GMs, they were aligned and they wanted us to start the work. And we started. We gave, like, we met, uh, we met them and we started the work. But before that, of course, what we did was we prepared, because this was a totally new, nobody had done general insurance work that time. I'm talking way back in 2005-6, an organization. So we hired an expert who was a ex-GM of a public sector company. He gave us, like, the entire understanding of the value chain, insights, what are the challenges being faced and everything. So we had that kind of, understanding. with that we went and we did everything. So we initially understanding we gave, but what happened, what we realized when we started working, that the GM HR was not aligned. Although the GM IT was aligned, but the chief manager IT was not. He didn't want any change. He wanted status quo. So when we
Oh,
gave our first, status update meetings, we said, oh, we did not receive data. This is not, we're not getting support and stuff like that. Then the challenge started. We were getting minimal support, we got no support. So it is so important to understand that stakeholders have to be aligned. So
mhm.
and then we kept on getting hurdles on the way. There was when the project during the RFP stage, we did not, the current issues, it took us so much of time to understand the current issues, because unless you know the as a systems, to be systems also gets affected. KPIs also, like, you need a buy-in of the KPIs. We define the KPIs, but you need buy-in of the KPIs. And then even the data migration, because the data was not accurate or complete. So you migrating a data which is inaccurate becomes an issue with the new system. So everything was like very, very difficult. So the learnings I would say is, do not start any system unless the stakeholders are aligned. Look, I understand that all stakeholders may not be aligned in large projects, but at least, very relevant and important stakeholders need to be aligned. So conduct a workshop, get their buy-in, get a sign-off, and and also we have to understand the sensitivities, because sometimes, okay, they don't want the changes. Maybe they're like, inability to accept change, or they are happy with status quo, and they're concerned because some people, obviously, they were in their almost in their due for retirement, so they're okay. I mean, so some people fear job losses, so need to understand the sensitivities of the organization before suggesting and take everybody together. So that is a big learning. And also, like, the data needs to be, obviously we know it needs to be accurate, complete, but just focus a lot before, like, on as on the accuracy, and then kind of move. So we understand, like, we are from consulting, so project program management and all these timelines, everything, those we understand. But I'm talking about the sensitivities, the small things which really make or break a change to be successful, right? So like frequent communication is extremely important. So those are things, raising flags timely. So, but most important is alignment with your stakeholders, because
Right.
yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, your reflections on overcoming challenges and learning from them are quite inspirational, Ms. Ray. Uh, the lessons you've shared really highlights the importance of resilience and adaptability in leadership. But having said that, what really actually stays on is the fact that before you even embark on taking this bull bites on, if you treat each project like that, it is important to understand the environment, it is important to understand the players. And as you rightly said, there could be n number of questions, doubts. There could be so many things that people may not want to be willing to be a part of this project, which could eventually hamper the project or the deadlines of the project or the quality of the project, and so on and so forth. So that's a very valuable point as you put it across, that before you start, please ensure that you're in a room with all of these people and explain to them what it is, understand their issues, and then take a sign off. That's absolutely superb. I mean, I believe this is going to be information worth its weight in gold for anybody who's embarking on this consulting or a project management journey. As they say, the power of governance lies in its ability to build trust and resilience. Now, in your experience, what role does strong corporate governance play in enhancing an organization's ability to navigate complex risks while driving long term success?
We all know, like, large organizations can fail if the corporate governance is not proper. We've seen a very, very good big example of Satyam. So I was in PwC when this happened. So one can kind of, understand, but so that's why corporate governance is extremely critical. Yeah, right. It plays such a critical role in, fostering trust and resilience. Now, trust is Everything, revolves around trust. Why we say? Because, if you're honest, you're transparent, if you trust, then everything comes. Like, we talk about transparency. So transparency comes from where? From trust. You need to build trust with your stakeholders. Now, stakeholders would be who? Like your shareholders, your regulators, your customers, your employees, even your directors you're working with. So extremely important to build transparency and accountability. So why do we have frameworks, we have a lot of frameworks, roles, responsibilities, principles, practices. All these are important to manage risk and for having a proper governance. So accountability, again, you define the roles. Everybody should be accountable. If you have a role, you have a responsibility and accountability. That goes together hand in hand. So you cannot detach yourself from accountability if you have a role, if you're playing a role, right? Then all these will drive your ethical behavior. So you have to serve with integrity, be honest. There are some kind of rules or code of conduct, which we say they are compliance frameworks. Now, if you look at it, even when what happens, like how did the 10 commandments come in to play, right? There were so many people, there was unrest, there was chaos. So when the organization is small, it can be managed, but the moment the organization becomes larger, you need a code of conduct, you need some compliance. They need to abide by those compliance frameworks. So to have a kind of an ethical leadership also you need to have. So that's very important, and that's how you kind of manage the risks, because you will have those frameworks to manage what are the risks you need to understand. It's an enterprise wide risk. There could be some strategic risk, operations, your day-to-day operations will have risks. There will be, if you're deploying some systems, that also will have risks. There will be people challenges, people risks. So you need to kind of, mitigate, understand these risks so that you can mitigate. So there will be a risk management framework in place. And extremely important to have a communication with all your stakeholders across levels. So I think these will drive your long-term sustainability. So and preparing for crisis, because COVID was a very big example. Like those who had great corporate governance, they survived. Crisis management, I mean, all this has come into play. Now these are all boardroom conversations. Cybersecurity, crisis management, all these are boardroom conversations, because they drive resilience. So that's what I feel it needs to
Right,
be done.
right. Right. Absolutely. Absolutely, Ms. Ray. I mean, your perspective on the role of corporate governance in building trust and resilience is incredibly insightful. This experience demonstrates how strong governance frameworks are essential for navigating risks and achieving sustained success, as you rightly said. So, when it comes to leading CXO relationships, trust and accountability go hand in hand. Could you share your approach to building and sustaining meaningful client relationships that yield impactful results?
Or see, I've now moved to a client service and client relationship role. So this is kind of little favorite for me also. So, it's very important to build trusted relationship. Now, how do you build these? I mean, we talk about trust, we talk about long-term relationships, but they don't happen overnight. So first of all, when you are interacting with CXOs, it's very important to, understand whether you are in the game. Three things I'll tell you. So whether you're in the game, how can you be in the game? Do you know their industry? Because of course, company you need to know their industry also. Who is their competition? And is it are you competitive enough? Who is their competition? Also, you need to understand. Give them industry insights. Then, if you want to be, are you competitive enough? Do you have the technical excellence? Are you bringing the technical excellence? Are you bringing your best people? Because if you want to be in the game, you need to be scalable. You also, are you responding to this questions immediately, or their whatever their queries are? And also important to have a geographical coverage, because all these large companies, they have geographical presence. So are you scalable? Can you do a geographical coverage? So if all these are there, then fine, you are in the game. Second is, are you adding value, enough value? We talk about value. So how do you add value? You need to understand the CXO's role. what are their priorities, okay, and what are the challenges they're facing. They will be also having some matrix. If you can get hold of their matrix, great. I mean, it's not that easy, but at least try to understand what are their priorities. So then you deliver value consistently on those priorities. So, like, share the industry insights. What other industries are doing? What is the new thing? Now, if digital transformation is there, what are they doing? What tools others are bringing? So, like that, I mean, if you're doing a sales transformation or you're doing a digital marketing, so whatever you're bringing in the transformation, I mean, you look at the what others have done in this industry and how they have come up in the value chain. So if you want to also come up, these are the things which you need to do. So we need to at least educate them. You don't need to sell, but educate them, and if they want it, they will ask. I mean, that's what. So then understand what are the communication styles. I mean, are they want frequent updates, or they want whenever they are there, I mean, are you reachable? Also, like, if they most of them are data driven, so give them data to validate whatever you're saying, and connect with them. Develop a personal rapport. So understand, like, at a human level, also do some, like, kind of, invite them for industry events, be part of those. So you can do kind of an informal networking that way, and build credibility, earn credibility. How do you do that? Initially, if they don't know you, you ask your other clients or third parties to share some credentials about you, and then you build credibility by your work. These are the things. Then you are adding value. The third is being part of their value. Okay. So basically being a trusted advisor when we talk about. So are you accountable? Because you take feedback, and if they're criticism, be open to criticism, take that feedback, make those adjustments, because you learn from that. I mean, so always take it in a positive note. Extremely be honest. If supposing some work has gone bad, admit it. It's okay. All of us can go wrong, and then do a better job. I mean, try to rectify it or do a better job next time. But be transparent. Very, very important to have honest communication, and be a trusted partner. So you be a partner, not a vendor. I mean, they should not treat you as a vendor. They should treat you as a partner who is giving them, trusted advice. So collaborate, and like, of course, I mean, be committed. So these, like, I can share an example, like, where I've done this, like, so again, a very large telecom client where I was working closely with the CIA. So all these parameters, if I reflect, actually happened because, I mean, giving industry insights, giving them the technical expertise, ensuring the best team comes in, understanding the stakeholder dynamics. Because what was his priority? It was like, he was a chief of internal audit, but Africa also had a chief of internal audit, but he had no control. So he wanted control. So what I could give him was remote audit. That time that concept was not there so much. So I brought in remote audit for him, so he could have that control. So then, like, and building accountability, there were a lot of issues. So, but I was accountable for everything. So these are things, communication. And he actually, I'm not telling you, it's been now what, 2012 and 24. I if I call him even now, I last year I called him, he still remembers me, and he says, like, you should be doing this. And so that is the kind of, connection one builds, because if you have done the job, that's how you can actually build very great relationships.
Wow, wow, completely agreed, and that's phenomenal. I mean, what you have actually described here, all those three, four pointers that you have actually given, and also gone a little bit in more detail explaining as to how do you do it. I mean, this approach that you've shared reflects the importance of trust and accountability in fostering impactful and enduring partnerships. I read somewhere the day your client feels absolutely free to put his head on your shoulder and start crying about his problems, that's the day you've actually won over all the accounts that he has and all the geographies that he would have. But reaching up to that level, it is not about making him cry, but reaching up to that level is what I believe you have described here. And I'm 100% sure everybody who's watching this podcast must be taking notes right here as to how do you actually. And I don't think this only has got anything to do with CXOs. It is about all decision makers in general, if I may say so, depending on what size of what is the project size and what is the kind of business that you're in. And as you've been mentioning, all throughout your conversation, you've been talking about your 20-25 years of work experience and those projects. They say success is a journey and it's not a destination. For professionals entering the consulting industry, what habits or practices would you recommend for achieving excellence in a rapidly evolving field?
I've got close to now 27, 30 years, I would say, if I take my articleship also. What I would say is be a lifelong learner. Stay curious and keep asking questions till you get your answers. So, I mean, most now content is available. Do your research, read and have a growth mindset. So you keep learning and view challenges as an opportunity. So you'll keep learning, and it is also like it'll motivate you to work, keep working. Second is right attitude. I look at the attitude when I hire a person. I mean, does that have the attitude to learn, to work as a team? And also, so that person then will do everything, will understand the client needs. And also on the team, collaboration is very important, stepping into each other's shoes, serving with integrity, helping each other. These are some things which very important because, and you that person will not, and when the need arises, I've done printing also, so you need to kind of whatever is needed that time, you have to do it and learn from your juniors also, because it doesn't matter if to put the best effort, you work, look at the situation and work accordingly. So the and so we are in a professional network, this consulting world, so you have to build strong professional relationships. So you have to network and network. But of course, unless you serve the clients, unless you earn the trust, which I've spoken about, you can't build strong relationships.
Right.
The other thing I would say, maybe, you need to adapt to change, be receptive. Like, as we've spoken about, stay flexible, change. Like, I mean, the clients can be unpredictable, they can put pressure, but just you need to kind of, work on that. Communication. So hone your communication skills. Extremely important to have the right communication. I was not communicating that well when I started my journey. I was less confident. Now, over the years you can actually build on a lot of skill sets. Time management, so important, right? Because we have such high pressure jobs, you have to prioritize what is important, and you need to be organized. Then build a personal brand. Extremely important. They should know you. So work on being an expert. 5 years you work, you're ass out, but you success will follow you. Then everybody will look for you. So
Right.
build a personal brand. And as you said, success is a journey. It's not a destination. Evolve in this journey. We treat it as an evolution. You need, so that you are continuously improving. Otherwise, you'll stagnate. So that is the reason, so evolve in your journey. Consulting is challenging, but it's extremely rewarding. I've done such different kind of jobs. I don't think, I mean, I get bored very easily, but I stayed in a similar job, like 18 years I've worked with PwC, 10 years, over 10 years with Deloitte. So I have stayed on because the work was very challenging, extremely motivating. And, it kept my adrenaline levels high because it was so stressful, and navigating through personal challenges also. But I mean, traveling, I've traveled to so many countries, so many locations, I've relocated with kids, with, everything. So it has been a very, very rewarding journey.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, your advice for aspiring consultants on achieving excellence is both practical and inspiring, Ms. Ray. The habits and practices you've shared with us today really provides a valuable roadmap for success in an ever-changing industry. Coming to the last question of this podcast, as you work towards your goal of joining a board of directors, it is essential to have a solid understanding of corporate governance. How do you feel the Directors Institute is enhancing your expertise and preparing you for this role?
So I feel initially when I joined, I had one question. Okay, I mean, how obviously when you join a course, you want to know whether you will be able to be placed or not, right? So that question I had. But over the time, I see the course is very well designed, very organized. Then you have live, interviews. You have live podcasts by experts. They're guiding you on the questions. Like, we have certain questions because it's corporate. After all, being an independent director is a little risky profession. You don't want enforcement director at the end of your career coming to your house, right? So but they're preparing you that what you should be doing, what you should not be doing. And every profession has risks, but to understand again, like, so we are doing our risk mitigation, everything by understanding. And the course is quite comprehensive. What I like really about is the engagement with the team, the live podcast, the interviews, conversations, and also the community which I am interacting with. I think it's great. So that's what I wanted to say.
Great, great, great. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your insights with us, Ms. Ray. Your dedication to driving innovation and enabling ethical business practices is truly inspiring. Needless to say, it has been an honor to learn from your wealth of experience and accomplishments in cybersecurity, risk management, and consulting. We at Directors Institute wish you continued success and look forward to seeing the transformative impact of your future endeavors.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Rajesh. Look forward to working with you.
Sure, ma'am. We look forward to sharing more inspiring stories and insights from remarkable leaders in our next session. Until then, keep upskilling and finding joy in your journey. This is Rajesh Joshi signing off.